The young engineer Kara Ashar worked the night shift, meticulously monitoring the colony's power grid and environmental systems. It was a monotonous task, but Kara took pride in maintaining the delicate balance required to sustain human life on this inhospitable world. As she scanned the readouts, a curious anomaly caught her eye. An unexpected power drain originating from the remote storage facility on the edge of the colony. Kara frowned, quickly cross-referencing the schematics. There were no scheduled maintenance or repair activities scheduled for that location. Grabbing her toolbox, Kara headed out into the dimly lit corridors, her footsteps echoing against the concrete walls. The storage facility loomed ahead, a foreboding structure of prefab modules and rusting pipes. Kara keyed in the access code and stepped inside, the air thick with the scent of ozone. Following the trail of the power drain, Kara found herself standing before an older model stasis pod, its readouts flickering erratically. She ran a diagnostic, her brow furrowing as the results indicated a life sign within. Kara's heart raced. Had someone been placed in cold storage without her knowledge? Steeling her nerves, Kara initiated the pod's emergency release sequence. With a hiss of escaping gas, the lid slid open, revealing a slender humanoid figure curled tightly inside. Kara leaned closer, and as her eyes adjusted to the dim lighting, she gasped in surprise. The occupant was not human. Delicate bone ridges adorned a pale, angular face, and webbed fingers gripped the sides of the pod. Kara had only ever seen images of such alien features in her xenobiology textbooks. This was no human colony worker. The alien woman's eyes fluttered open, revealing luminous violet irises that fixed Kara with a piercing gaze. Kara fought the urge to step back, acutely aware of her own rapid heartbeat. "Who are you?" She stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "How did you end up here?" The alien woman's lips parted, releasing a low, rasping breath. "I am Vala." Her voice was soft, tinged with a strange musical quality. "I have been imprisoned here for many cycles." Kara's mind raced as she processed this information. Imprisoned? How could an alien be held captive on Novarus Prime, a remote mining colony tightly controlled by the Galactic Consortium? The implications turned her stomach. Imprisoned? Kara repeated, her brow furrowed in concern. By whom? What happened to you? Vala's violet eyes narrowed, a flicker of fear crossing her delicate features. The ones who rule this place. They captured me, forced me to serve them. She shuddered, her webbed fingers clenching the sides of the pod. Kara felt a surge of anger on Vala's behalf. The Galactic Consortium prided itself on upholding the rights and freedoms of all sentient beings, yet here was proof of a blatant violation happening right under their noses. She had to get Vala out of this stasis pod and somewhere safe. "Listen, I'm going to get you out of here," Kara said, her voice low and determined. "Can you stand? We need to move quickly before someone discovers us." Vala nodded weakly, her movements sluggish from her time in cold storage. Kara reached out a hand, and Vala grasped it, her grip surprisingly strong despite her fragile appearance. Carefully, Kara helped the alien woman to her feet, steadying her as she wavered unsteadily. "What's your plan?" Vala asked, her violet eyes searching Kara's face. I don't know yet," Kara admitted, glancing around the dimly lit facility. "But I can't just leave you here. We have to find a way to get you to safety." As the two women made their way towards the exit, Kara couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that they were being watched. The shadows of the storage facility seemed to press in, and the air grew thick with a sense of unease. Whatever lay in store for them, Kara knew she had crossed a line. There was no going back now. Kara led Vala through the dimly lit hallways, her senses on high alert. The alien woman's steps were unsteady, her body clearly weakened from her time trapped in the stasis pod. Kara couldn't imagine how long she had been imprisoned here, cut off from her home and loved ones. As they moved deeper into the colony's residential sector, Kara realized she had little choice but to take Vala back to her own modest living quarters. It was a risk, but the alternative, leaving the alien woman to fend for herself in this hostile environment, was unthinkable. Once inside, Kara helped Vala settle onto the small cot that served as her bed. The alien's violet eyes darted around the cramped space, a mix of curiosity and wariness in her gaze. "This is where you live." Vala's voice was soft, her words lilting with a strange cadence. Kara nodded, offering an apologetic shrug. "It's not much, but it's private. You'll be safe here for now." Vala nodded slowly, her webbed fingers tracing the rough fabric of the cot. I don't understand. Why are you helping me?" Kara paused, considering her words carefully. "Because what's happening to you here is wrong. No one should be imprisoned and forced into servitude against their will." She met Vala's gaze, her own expression earnest. "I want to help you escape this place, if I can." Vala's eyes widened, a flicker of hope rising within them. "Escape," she breathed, as if daring to believe the possibility. "But the guards, the security." Her voice trailed off, the fear playing on her delicate features. Reaching out, Kara placed a reassuring hand on Vala's arm. "I know it won't be easy, but I can't just leave you to suffer here. There has to be a way." Vala studied Kara's face, weighing the sincerity of her words. After a moment, she nodded slowly. I trust you." Her tone was hesitant, but Kara could hear the underlying gratitude. Kara offered a small, encouraging smile. "Good. Then let's figure this out." She stood, crossing to the narrow shelf where she kept her tools and technical supplies. "First, we need to get you healthy again. Those stasis pods are hell on the body." Rummaging through the shelf, Kara retrieved a portable medical scanner and a small pouch of nutrient supplements. Returning to Vala's side, she ran the scanner over the alien woman's body, frowning at the readouts. "Your electrolyte levels are dangerously low, and your muscle tone is severely depleted," Kara murmured, her brow furrowed in concern. "No wonder you're having trouble standing." Vala watched silently as Kara prepared a dose of the supplements, her violet eyes reflecting a mixture of trepidation and cautious hope. "Here, take these," Kara said, handing Vala the small capsules. "They'll help replenish what you've lost." Vala hesitated for a moment before dutifully swallowing the supplements. Kara studied her face, looking for any signs of discomfort or adverse reaction. To her relief, Vala's eyes soon regained a bit of their former vibrancy, and some of the tension seemed to ease from her slender frame. "How do you feel?" Kara asked, her tone gentle. "Better," Vala replied, her voice a touch stronger. "The dizziness is subsiding, and my limbs feel less heavy." Kara nodded, relieved. "Good. Now I need you to tell me everything you can about this place. The layout, the security, the schedules. Anything that might help us plan an escape." Vala's expression grew pensive, her webbed fingers fidgeting nervously. I'm not certain I know all the details. My time here has been disorienting." She paused, her gaze falling to her lap. "But I will share what I can. Anything to help me leave this wretched place." As Vala began recounting her experiences, Kara listened intently, her mind racing with possibilities. The path to freedom would not be an easy one, But seeing the determination burning in Vala's violet eyes only strengthened Kara's resolve. She would find a way to liberate this captive alien, no matter the cost. Over the next several days, Kara and Vala pored over the limited information the alien woman could provide about the colony's inner workings. Vala's recollections were hazy, the details blurred by the disorienting effects of her extended time in stasis. But slowly, a picture began to emerge. The mining colony of Novarus Prime was tightly controlled by the Galactic Consortium, its rigid hierarchy enforced by a small but heavily armed security force. Alien workers like Vala were kept isolated in heavily guarded housing modules on the outskirts of the settlement, their every movement monitored. "They don't allow us to mingle with the human workers," Vala explained, her delicate features etched with bitterness. "We are seen as less than, tools to be used and discarded as needed." Kara's jaw tightened, her hands clenching into fists at her sides. The injustice of Vala's situation filled her with a righteous fury. How could the Consortium, the supposed bastion of galactic unity and justice, condone such blatant exploitation? "There has to be a way out of this," Kara murmured, more to herself than to Vala. "A way for you to escape." Vala regarded her with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "I have tried many times. But the guards are ever vigilant, and the environmental conditions beyond the colony walls are unforgiving." Kara nodded, understanding the gravity of the challenge they faced. The Novarus Prime colony was essentially a self-contained ecosystem, its delicate biosphere carefully regulated to support human life. For an alien like Vala, the hostile atmosphere would prove deadly in short order. "Then we'll need to find a way off-world," Kara said, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Somewhere the Consortium can't reach you." Vala's eyes widened. "Off-world? But how?" "The only transport shuttles are tightly controlled, and leaving without authorization is—" Her voice trailed off, the fear plain on her features. Kara placed a reassuring hand on Vala's arm. "I know it sounds impossible, but I've been studying the colony's systems. There may be a way to slip past the security checkpoints without being detected." Vala regarded her with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "You would risk so much to help me." Kara offered her a small, determined smile. "You're not alone in this, Vala. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you home." Over the following weeks, the two women quietly set their plan in motion. Kara used her technical expertise to identify vulnerabilities in the colony's security protocols, while Vala provided invaluable intel on the guard rotations and patrol routes. It was painstaking, delicate work, requiring constant vigilance to avoid arousing suspicion. Kara found herself constantly on edge, her heart racing every time a security officer passed by her station. But the thought of Vala trapped in her isolation fueled her determination. As the day of their attempted escape drew near, Kara and Vala recruited a small group of like-minded workers to aid in their cause. These were men and women, both human and alien, who had grown weary of the Consortium's oppressive rule and were willing to risk everything for a chance at freedom. The night of the breakout, tensions ran high as the Ragtag group made their way through the dimly lit corridors, keeping low and silent. Kara led the way, her senses on high alert for any sign of trouble. Beside her, Vala moved with a newfound strength, her violet eyes scanning their surroundings with a mixture of fear and resolve. Suddenly, a shout rang out. A security guard had spotted them. Kara's heart leaped into her throat as the group broke into a desperate sprint, alarms blaring all around them. "This way," she shouted, guiding the others towards a service hatch she had previously rigged as an escape route. They piled through the opening, Vala bringing up the rear, and Kara slammed the hatch shut just as the sound of booted feet thundered past. For a moment, there was only the sound of ragged breathing as the group huddled in the cramped confines of the service tunnel. Kara turned to Vala, her eyes searching the alien woman's face. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vala's expression was resolute. "Yes," she replied, her webbed fingers closing around Kara's hand. "Let's end this nightmare." With that, the group pressed onward, their escape now a race against time. The service tunnel was dark and cramped, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the hum of machinery. Kara led the way, her fingers trailing along the rough metal walls to guide her through the maze of pipes and conduits. Behind her, the rest of the group followed, their heavy footsteps muffled by the sound of their own laboured breathing. Vala, her violet eyes glowing faintly in the gloom, kept pace at Kara's side. The alien woman's features were etched with a mixture of fear and determination, her webbed hands clenched tightly at her sides. Kara could only imagine the whirlwind of emotions coursing through her, the overwhelming need to escape the nightmare of her captivity, tempered by the uncertainty of what lay ahead. As they pressed onward, Kara's mind raced, running through contingency plans and escape routes. She had studied the colony's schematics extensively, but there were always variables she couldn't anticipate. What if the security forces had already blocked off their intended exit? What if the harsh environmental conditions beyond the colony walls proved too much for Vala and the others to handle? Kara gritted her teeth, refusing to give in to the creeping sense of dread. They had come too far to turn back now. All she could do was keep moving, trusting in the tenuous plan they had meticulously crafted. Suddenly, Vala's hand closed around Kara's arm, the alien woman's grip surprisingly strong. "Wait," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Kara halted, straining her ears. In the eerie silence, she could hear the faint sounds of voices and the heavy thud of boots, security patrols, likely searching for them. Cursing under her breath, Kara quickly ushered the group into a small alcove, pressing them back against the wall. "Stay quiet," she hissed, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of their pursuers. The group held their collective breath, the only sound the pounding of their hearts. Kara could feel Vala trembling beside her, the alien woman's fingers digging into her arm. She gave Vala's hand a reassuring squeeze, silently willing her to stay strong. The voices grew louder, accompanied by the harsh glare of flashlights as the security team drew closer. Kara's grip tightened on the compact stun baton she had brought, her muscles tensed and ready to spring into action if needed. Just as the security team reached the mouth of the alcove, a series of loud clangs echoed from a distant intersection, drawing their attention. Kara's heart leaped as she recognized the sound. A deliberate distraction, likely created by one of the other escapees. With a muttered curse, the guards hurried away, their footsteps fading into the distance. Kara waited a moment, then gestured for the group to continue, her pace quickened by the adrenaline coursing through her veins. As they pressed on, Vala's voice reached Kara's ear, tinged with a hint of wonder. You all are risking so much for me." Kara glanced at the alien woman, her expression softening. "We're in this together, Vala. You're not alone anymore." Vala's violet eyes glistened with unshed tears, a small grateful smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Kara felt a surge of determination. She would see this through, no matter the cost. Vala deserved her freedom, and Kara would move heaven and earth to ensure she got it. Finally, they reached the service hatch that would lead them to the docking bay and their hoped-for escape. Kara paused, taking a deep, steadying breath before reaching for the release mechanism. "This is it," she whispered, her gaze sweeping over the ragtag group behind her. Remember, stick to the plan. Stay close and keep quiet. If anything goes wrong, don't hesitate to scatter and find your own way. The others nodded, their expressions resolute. Vala met Kara's eyes, her own filled with a mixture of fear and unwavering trust. With a hiss of pressurized air, the hatch slid open, revealing the cavernous docking bay beyond. Kara steeled herself, then stepped through, leading the way towards the small transport shuttle that would be their ticket to freedom. But as they drew closer, Kara's heart sank. Something wasn't right. The shuttle's engines were cold, its loading ramp sealed tight. Her eyes widened in dismay as she realized their carefully laid plans had been discovered. They were trapped. Kara's heart hammered in her chest as she stared at the sealed transport shuttle. The realization that their escape plan had been compromised, sending a wave of panic through her. They were so close, yet now it seemed their hard-fought freedom was slipping through their fingers. Beside her, Vala let out a small, strangled sound, her violet eyes wide with fear. The other escapees began to murmur anxiously, their whispered voices filling the cavernous docking bay. "What do we do now?" one of the human workers asked, his gaze darting nervously around the dimly lit space. Kara's mind raced, desperately searching for an alternative. They couldn't give up, not after coming this far. Vala was counting on her, and Kara refused to let the alien woman down. "We find another way out," she said, her voice low but resolute. "There has to be another ship, another route we can take." Vala's hand closed around Kara's arm, her grip tightening. "But the guards, they will be searching for us. We have no time to waste." Kara nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. "Then we'll have to move fast. Stick close and keep your heads down. If we can just reach the outer docks, maybe we can." A sudden commotion from the far end of the bay cut her off, and Kara's heart sank as she caught sight of a squad of security guards rushing towards them, their weapons drawn. "There they are," one of the guards shouted, his voice echoing through the cavernous space. "Don't let them escape." Kara turned to the others, her expression grim. "Run!" she yelled, already sprinting towards the nearest cover. The group scattered, darting between crates and shuttles as blaster fire rained down around them. Kara ducked behind a stack of cargo containers, her hands shaking as she fumbled for the stun baton she had brought. Vala crouched beside her, her violet eyes wide with terror. "What do we do?" she pleaded, her voice wavering. Kara's jaw tightened, her grip on the baton tightening. "We fight," she said, her tone laced with determination. "We fight for our freedom." Steeling herself, Kara leaped from her hiding place, the baton crackling with electricity as she charged towards the nearest guard. The security officer barely had time to react before Kara struck, the baton connecting with his chest and sending him crumpling to the ground. All around her, the other escapees had taken up similar defensive positions, their makeshift weapons clashing against the guards' blasters. Kara felt a surge of pride at their bravery, even as her heart pounded with fear. Vala had followed Kara, her own slender hands wielding a long metallic rod. With a surprising display of strength, she swung the makeshift weapon, knocking a guard's blaster from his hands. "We must keep moving," Vala shouted, her violet eyes blazing with determination. "The docks, Kara. We have to reach the docks." Nodding, Kara gestured for the others to follow, her feet pounding against the metal floor as she led the charge towards the outer perimeter. Blaster fire whizzed past, singeing the air, and Kara could feel her lungs burning with the effort. But she refused to give in to the fatigue, not when they were this close to freedom. not when Vala's future hung in the balance. As they neared the docks, Kara caught sight of a small cargo shuttle, its engines humming with power. Hope flared in her chest, and she redoubled her efforts, urging the others onwards. "There!" she shouted, pointing towards the shuttle. "That's our way out." The group surged forward, their ragged breaths mingling with the sounds of the ongoing skirmish. Kara could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, fueling her every step. They were so close to escaping this nightmare. But just as they reached the shuttle's loading ramp, a familiar voice rang out, sending a chill down Kara's spine. "Stop right there!" Whirling around, Kara's heart sank as she laid eyes on the towering figure of the colony's security chief, his blaster leveled at them with unwavering precision. "You thought you could just waltz out of here, did you?" The security chief sneered, his lips curling into a cruel smile. "I'm afraid your little rebellion ends here." Kara's grip tightened on the baton, her mind racing for a way out. But as she met the security chief's unyielding gaze, she knew their desperate gambit had come to an end. They were trapped, with nowhere left to run. Time seemed to slow to a crawl as Kara stared down the barrel of the security chief's blaster. The cavernous docking bay had gone eerily silent, the only sound the harsh rasp of their laboured breathing. Beside her, Vala had gone rigid, her violet eyes wide with terror. Kara could feel the alien woman's trembling, the weight of their failed escape weighing heavily upon them both. The security chief regarded them with a cold, calculating gaze, his lips curled into a triumphant sneer. "Well, well, looks like our little band of runaways has reached the end of the line." Kara's grip tightened on the baton, her mind racing for any possible avenue of escape. But she knew in her heart that their options had dwindled to nothing. The security forces had them surrounded, their only route of egress cut off. "Please," Vala's voice rang out, tinged with a desperate pleading. "You have to let us go. We only want our freedom." The security chief's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing. "Freedom? You aliens have no idea what that word even means. You're nothing but property, tools to be used for the benefit of your betters." Kara felt a surge of white-hot anger at the man's callous words. How dare he treat Vala and the others like chattel, as if they were mere possessions to be exploited? "That's not true," she spat, her voice trembling with barely contained fury. "Vala and the others deserve to be treated with dignity, not like slaves." The security chief let out a harsh, mirthless laugh. "Dignity? You foolish girl. In this galaxy, only the strong survive, and the strong take what they want, without regard for the weak." Kara's heart sank as she realized the futility of their situation. This man, this embodiment of the consortium's twisted ideology, would never see reason. To him, Vala and the others were nothing more than commodities to be exploited. "So what now?" Kara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Are you going to kill us?" The security chief's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Oh, no. That would be far too merciful. No, your punishment will be far worse than death." Kara felt a chill run down her spine, her mind reeling with the implications of his words. What horrors did he have in store for them? Before she could voice her question, the sound of approaching footsteps drew their attention. Kara's heart leaped as she recognized the figure striding towards them, a contingent of armed, uniformed individuals, their insignia marking them as members of the Galactic Consortium's elite peacekeeping corps. "What's the meaning of this?" The security chief barked, his grip tightening on his blaster. One of the peacekeepers stepped forward, his expression grave. "We've received a distress signal from this colony, Chief. Seems there's been a bit of unrest. Kara's eyes widened as she realized the implications of the peacekeepers' words. Somehow, their desperate escape attempt had managed to draw the attention of the consortium's most powerful enforcers. The security chief's face darkened with fury. "This is an internal matter. Your presence is neither needed nor welcome here." The peacekeeper's gaze hardened. "I'm afraid we can't allow that, Chief. We have orders to investigate any and all reports of unlawful detainment and abuse of alien workers." Kara felt a spark of hope flicker to life within her. Could it be that the peacekeepers had come to their aid to liberate the captive aliens and bring an end to the colony's dark secrets? Beside her, Vala's posture had relaxed ever so slightly, a glimmer of cautious optimism in her violet eyes. The security chief's face had gone pale with fury. "You can't do this. This colony is under the consortium's authority. You have no—" "That's where you're wrong, Chief," the peacekeeper interrupted, his voice stern. "The consortium's charter is clear. All sentient beings, regardless of origin, are to be treated with dignity and respect. What's been happening here is a clear violation of that mandate." Kara held her breath, scarcely daring to believe what was unfolding before her. As the peacekeeper stepped forward, blasters raised, she felt a surge of relief wash over her. Perhaps, just perhaps, their long nightmare was finally coming to an end. The commotion in the docking bay had drawn a sizable crowd, a mixture of curious onlookers and anxious colony workers. Kara and Vala found themselves ushered into a makeshift holding area, flanked by the elite peacekeepers who had arrived to investigate the unrest. As they waited, Kara could feel Vala's eyes upon her, a silent question burning in the alien woman's violet gaze. Reaching out, Kara gave Vala's hand a gentle squeeze, offering what comfort she could. "It's going to be all right," Kara murmured, though even she couldn't quite believe the words. After everything they had endured, it was hard to trust that their ordeal was truly over. Vala nodded, her expression guarded. "I want to believe that, Kara. But I have seen so much cruelty in this place. How can I be sure the consortium won't simply find another way to keep me captive?" Kara's heart ached at the fear and resignation in Vala's voice. After all the alien woman had suffered, it was only natural that she would be wary of putting her trust in the very system that had failed her. "I know it's hard," Kara said softly. "But the peacekeepers are here to uphold the consortium's ideals of justice and freedom. They won't let this stand." Vala's gaze searched Kara's face, as if seeking some reassurance that her words held true. After a moment, she nodded slowly, her posture relaxing ever so slightly. It wasn't long before the holding area was filled with the sound of raised voices. Kara turned to see the security chief, his face flushed with rage, as he argued vehemently with the peacekeeper commander. "This is an outrage," the security chief bellowed, his fists clenched at his sides. "You have no right to interfere in the internal affairs of this colony." The peacekeeper commander regarded him with a cool, impassive gaze. "On the contrary, Chief, we have a mandate to investigate any and all reports of unlawful treatment of sentient beings under the consortium's jurisdiction." Unlawful treatment. The security chief spat, his lips curling into a sneer. "These aliens are nothing more than property, tools to be used for the benefit of the colony. We've done nothing wrong." The peacekeeper commander's expression hardened. "That's where you're mistaken, Chief. The consortium's charter is clear on the rights and freedoms of all sentient beings, regardless of their origin. What you've been doing here is a flagrant violation of those principles." Kara watched, her heart racing, as the two men continued to trade barbs. She could see the security chief's composure beginning to fray, his desperation leaking through the cracks of his bravado. Finally, the Peacekeeper commander raised a hand, silencing the security chief with a stern look. "We'll be taking these individuals into our custody, Chief. They'll be transported to a consortium holding facility, where their claims of mistreatment will be thoroughly investigated." The security chief's face contorted with rage, but even he seemed to recognize the futility of further argument. With a frustrated growl, he turned on his heel and stalked away, his subordinates trailing behind him. As the peacekeepers approached, Kara felt Vala stiffen beside her. The alien woman's violet eyes were wide with apprehension, her webbed fingers gripping Kara's arm. "Will they truly help us?" Vala whispered, her voice barely audible. Kara offered her a reassuring smile. "I believe they will, Vala. This is our chance to finally be free." The Peacekeeper commander stepped forward, his expression somber. "We'd like you to come with us, ma'am," he said, addressing Vala directly. "We need to give you an account of what's been happening here." Vala hesitated, her gaze flickering to Kara. But Kara gave her arm a gentle squeeze, nodding encouragingly. "It's all right, Vala. I'll be right here with you." With a deep, steadying breath, Vala stepped forward, her violet eyes resolute. "Then I am ready," she declared, her voice clear and unwavering. As the peacekeepers escorted them away, Kara felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. They had made it this far, against all odds. Now finally, Vala had a chance to have her story heard, to seek the justice she so rightly deserved. Whatever happened next, Kara knew she would be there to support her friend every step of the way. The Peacekeepers' investigation into the colony's treatment of alien workers was thorough and unrelenting. Over the course of several weeks, Vala and the other captive individuals were interviewed at length, their harrowing accounts of abuse and exploitation laid bare before the consortium's elite enforcers. Kara remained by Vala's side throughout the process, offering a steadying presence and a sympathetic ear. She watched with a mixture of pride and relief as the alien woman, once so timid and broken, found the strength to recount her ordeal with unwavering conviction. As the investigation reached its conclusion, the Peacekeeper commander summoned Kara and Vala to a private meeting, his expression grave. "The evidence we've gathered is deeply troubling," he began, his brow furrowed. "The systematic exploitation and mistreatment of the alien workers on this colony is a clear and unambiguous violation of the consortium's charter." Vala's violet eyes narrowed, a hint of wary hope flickering within them. "Then, what happens now?" The commander let out a heavy sigh. "We'll be placing the colony under immediate Peacekeeper control, pending a full administrative review. All alien workers will be released from their forced labour contracts and offered the opportunity to seek asylum within the consortium." Kara felt a surge of elation at his words, her heart swelling with relief. Finally, justice was being served, and Vala would be free from the nightmare of her captivity. Beside her, Vala let out a shaky breath, her webbed fingers trembling. "Asylum? You mean I can return to my home?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, tinged with disbelief. The commander nodded solemnly. "Yes, that's correct. The consortium will assist you in arranging safe passage back to your homeworld, or to whatever destination you choose." Tears glistened in Vala's violet eyes, and Kara reached out to squeeze her hand, a smile spreading across her face. "You're going home, Vala," she said, her own voice thick with emotion. "You're finally free." Vala turned to Kara, her expression a mixture of gratitude and wonder. "And you?" she began, her voice wavering. "You risked everything to help me. I don't know how to thank you." Kara felt a warmth blossoming in her chest as she looked into Vala's earnest gaze. "You don't have to," she said softly. "You're my friend, Vala. I couldn't have just left you there to suffer." The commander cleared his throat, drawing their attention back to him. "There is one more matter we need to discuss," he said, his tone somber. Kara and Vala exchanged a wary glance, the brief moment of elation fading as they braced themselves for whatever news the commander had to deliver. "As you know, your actions in escaping the colony were technically in violation of the law," the commander continued, his gaze shifting between the two women. "However, given the extraordinary circumstances and the clear abuses of power we've uncovered, the consortium has decided to grant you both a full pardon." Kara felt her breath catch in her throat, scarcely daring to believe what she was hearing. "A pardon," she echoed, her voice tinged with disbelief. The commander nodded. "Yes, you and the other escapees will not face any further legal repercussions for your involvement in this affair." Vala's eyes widened, a look of pure amazement spreading across her delicate features. "But why?" she asked, her voice tinged with wonder. The commander's expression softened. "Because you were right to fight for your freedom, Vala. The consortium exists to protect the rights and dignity of all sentient beings, and we failed you. This is our way of making amends." Kara felt a swell of pride and gratitude, her heart overflowing with emotion. They had done it. Vala was finally free, and the injustice that had been perpetrated against her and the other alien workers would be brought to light. As the commander concluded the meeting and the two women made their way out of the Peacekeeper compound, Kara couldn't help but feel a sense of bittersweet finality. Their harrowing journey was over, and Vala was finally able to return to her home and loved ones. But as Vala turned to Kara, her violet eyes shining with unshed tears, Kara knew that their bond would endure, no matter the distance between them. "Thank you, Kara," Vala said, her voice barely above a whisper. "For everything. I will never forget you." Kara pulled the alien woman into a warm embrace, her own eyes misting with tears. "Nor are you, Vala. May the stars guide you safely home." As they parted ways, Kara watched Vala's retreating figure, a bittersweet smile tugging at the corners of her lips. Though their paths were about to diverge, she knew that the memories of their shared struggle and triumph would forever be etched in her heart. With a deep, steadying breath, Kara turned and began the long journey back to her own life, her mind already racing with the promise of new adventures to come.